Great job electing this vegetable little trust fund progressive. Every once in a while, he even remembers what state he is standing in. Someday, he could learn to dress himself or tie his own shoes with intense enough instruction. This Democrat idea doesn't work for reasons that anyone who's ever served in the military can easily lay out. There aren't enough National Guard personnel in any local high-density zone to drive every tractor trailer, stock every shelf, load and unload every truck, etc. Guard and reserve units are generally limited to training personnel to perform certain high-demand specialties. Having SPC Jones, the Black Hawk helicopter mechanic, drive trucks full-time for the next several years just so progressive youth won't have to do it essentially deletes a hard-to-find technical tradesman from the mix. It would be cheaper, easier, and much less negative impact to make some progressive egghead trade the gender studies degree program for a tractor trailer. Biden is going to pay some high-demand technical trade specialist who has been recruited and trained at great cost, BAH, and active duty pay to load up tractor trailers for years, just because the local 20-nothings can't be bothered to do any real work? Nope! Doesn't even begin to make sense at all. The logistics problem he thinks he is solving is actually more complex than he imagines. It's not just too few truck drivers or dock workers. It's not just current needs for certain common trades. What does President Huggies do? Within the National Guard, troops are rotated out of active deployment after 12 to 18 months. Are all of the entitled hipster kids who couldn't be bothered to work before all of a sudden going to start expertly doing necessary work in the Guard soldiers' absence? President Huggies needs to focus on simpler things, like learning to use the potty all by himself, or maybe even just learning how to get dressed in the morning. Folks, I present to you, above it all, episode 1377. We are here, folks, and I got some more where this came from, so let's read. This little royal thinks Romeo and Juliet tells people to commit suicide? These trust-funded royalty leftists are clearly even more intellectually challenged than I thought. Basic reading comprehension skills are all anyone requires to know that Shakespeare never conveyed that context with Romeo and Juliet. Duh! The ivory tower youth of progressives hordes are getting dimmer every year. So this comment is on a video where I sarcastically made an analogy about Romeo and Juliet. And I guess they don't understand what analogies are, so they wrote me another essay. Just comparing actual literature to typical low-rent alphabet collective porno rags no school should have allowed is right at the potato level of intellect. The typical blue-collar straight kid school district would replace all of their required reading materials with Penthouse or Hustler magazine if they adopted the same educational standards progressives cling to. This is from YouTube channel DB Cooper. But wait, there's more. Alright, this one's good. This one's good. Here we go. Alright, folks. This guy left me like 15 comments, so I'm just scrolling through them until I get bored. Let's see. Your progressive political party, fueled by corporate-supported riots in the streets for 4 straight years, you did countless billions of dollars worth of damage. You killed plenty of people. Me personally, I killed plenty of people. You unlawfully detained and attacked millions of innocent motorists while trying to burn occupied buildings with no chance of ever getting arrested by the useless cops who just spectated your entitled royalty class street terrorism. All right? In Chaz, Democrats got away. I love it. Like, first of all, in Chaz, Democrats. Like, the idea that Democrats had anything to do with Chaz, I think is... In Chaz, Democrats got away with assigning heavily armed, trust-funded militia wannabes who would never survive basic military training as the new replacement police who operated without any professional standards or oversight. You shot workers. I personally shot workers. You lynch mobbed countless thousands of workers for the crime of driving to work on public roads they built and paid for. Yo, folks, this is actually, you'll now notice that this guy's exposing my side career. This is what I've been doing all along. You wonder why I only do an hour show every day? It's because I'm too busy killing plenty of people and unlawfully detaining millions of motorists. Let's keep going. You severely burned people with Molotovs and high-end double-spaced professional-grade fireworks. You used deadly, illegal, homemade high-explosive devices as fun party favors to lob into crowds of working-class counter-protesters with no fear of being investigated or arrested. Folks, the reason why I'm actually doing this, there's actually a reason why I'm doing this, like, funny, dramatic reading. It's because imagine you're the kind of person who actually believes this. Like, you actually believe that the Democratic Party set people on fire and worked with the police to avoid any investigation or arrest. Imagine if you actually believe, if this is real in your mind is constructing a world where Chaz was run by Democrats and they murdered or tried to murder millions of innocent people. And all of them are trust fund babies. Yeah, sure. People in the 2020 uprising were mostly poor. It was like 90-something% of people that participated in protests were below the poverty line. That's fine. But imagine if you actually believe they're all paid off by George Soros. Right? They're all like Democrats. Right? They're all trust fund ivory tower rich kids just LARPing on television. You actually believe that. Of course, like, think about that. Like, January 6th makes a lot more sense. When you think about, these are the people who support storming the Capitol on January 6th. They think all of this. To them, this is real. This is real history. They say this as if it's fact. Like, I looked at this and I thought it was copy pasta. I'm going to be honest, I haven't read the comments until now. I just saw the wall of text and assumed it would be funny, right? But imagine you actually believe this. Like, this is real. Like this coffee cup is as real as Chaz being run by Democrats who murdered 1 million motorists. Your trust-funded Chaz police were even celebrated as national heroes because they shot up a car with a black working-class teen driver who refused to give them his driver's license at an unlawful checkpoint. You progressive silver spoons committed unspeakable war crimes against my class. My class, think about that. Without any legal consequence for 4 years. Chaz lasted 4 years. While not even having to worry about any future investigation by any law enforcement organization. Now again, someone in Florida, an anarchist activist by the name of Baker, I believe, was sent to prison for 6 years for saying we need to defend ourselves from fascists. So, and that's a longer prison sentence than almost any January 6th insurrectionist. So again, this is clearly whatever this guy's saying. Also, I would love to know what my class means. I'm assuming he's implying that he's poor and Democrats are all rich. But again, they actually believe this. Like, to them, this is as real as this coffee cup. This coffee cup exists, right? If I put it down and leave the room, I will be able to recount the existence of that coffee cup, right? And so in their mind, right, like let's say I'm talking to someone else about the coffee cup I have. It's an elephant shape. Look at it. It's cool, right? In their mind, that's as reasonable as what they're doing. They're just recounting historical events. I need you to understand, we are dealing with crazy the fuck-face motherfuckers. We are dealing with people that live in a different world. They are not living on planet Earth. They are in a new world. And it needs to be understood. You cannot understand why things like January 6th happen, and you cannot understand why they're so dangerous if you do not understand the ability of dumb motherfuckers to just accept propaganda like this. But I'm going to keep going because it's funny. Now, your progressive royalty class wants to complain because some blue-collar Joe Nobody verbalized a desire to do exactly what your own entitled comrades physically did to this economic class for 4 straight years. Pick a bed to sleep in, your royal highness. Again, they actually think I'm like some ivory tower trust fund baby, right? Like, I've not had health insurance basically my whole life. Right? I've been evicted several times, right? I have almost no money in my bank account. But in their mind, you know, I went to an Ivy League college, right? Like, I'm like, you know, the daughter-in-laws, you know, of the Clinton Foundation, right? In their mind, they actually believe this. I mean, look at my bedroom. You can see I don't got much going on, right? But in this guy's mind, I'm like a literal, like, you know, ruler. I'm an aristocrat on my YouTube show that gets like 30 viewers. They actually think this. I need you to understand, right? When you're dealing with a pathology, with a psychology like this, January 6th makes a lot more sense. Political violence is either fun and totally justified all of the time for everyone everywhere, or it's a criminal all the time for everyone. Now, they're commenting on the video with the Charlie Kirk person who said that they want to kill Democrats. That's the video they're commenting on. So this is all of their evidence to prove that it's okay to go outside and start shooting Democrats. Because Chaz was orchestrated by Democrats, I guess, apparently. That means it's okay to go shoot Democratic voters and politicians. That's what this guy thinks. You don't get to pretend as if your 4 years of totally consequence-free nationwide street terrorism never happened, just so you can feign being shocked by someone else's rage. This monster is of your making. Frankenstein deserves no scorn for coming home to roost. Actually, it's the Frankenstein's monster. But again, they actually think this. That Democrats were running through the streets for 4 straight years, murdering millions of motorists. They actually think that, but wait, there's more. Rich, royalty-born Bolsheviks never make any sense. A bunch of working-class people protesting without any violence or property destruction is always terrorism. A bunch of entitled progressive silver spoons burning occupied buildings in the hopes of murdering members of the enemy economic classes. Again, if they're burning buildings, what buildings are they burning? If they're burning, like, I don't know, chain, like fast food restaurant, who owns a chain fast food restaurant? The billionaire class. Well, how can the Democrats be trust fund babies, royalty, and burning buildings of their own class? It doesn't make any sense. But again, you'll see that these people's conspiracy theories, they literally don't matter. Like, the logical consistency of them is irrelevant. All they need to do is convince themselves it's okay to kill Democrats in the street. Everything else doesn't matter. This is how terrorists are born. This is how mass shooters get made. I need you to understand. I would not be shocked if this guy who's leaving me 39 trillion comments on my YouTube show becomes a mass shooter one day. I would not be shocked at all. Because again, they're basically giving their manifesto. This is their manifesto. They genuinely think Chaz was run by Democrats and they killed millions of motorists and set the entire world on fire for 4 years straight. That's their manifesto. If you actually believed that that was happening, of course January 6th makes sense. Of course killing Democrats makes sense. Right? If you construct a reality in your brain like this, everything else falls into place. That's why that's why I do this, because one, it's fun to make fun of stupid people, but two, you have to understand how the pathology of a dumb motherfucker functions like this. But let's keep going. Fascist is just a born wealthy Democrat slur against the worker. The Royals will always feel threatened by outspoken blue-collar tradesmen who dare to practice the same rights that members of the Democratic Party are guaranteed by the Constitution. I can't help but notice that the Democratic Party and all of its ivory tower membership sees mask mandates as exclusion to the enemy classes. Mask mandates don't apply to gated communities, 5-star resorts, high-end stores. They should. They should. But again, this is their world. They genuinely think that I'm like an Ivory. I'm looking down on like the fucking Corrin's Tower from Dragon Ball. Like, oh, look at that. Look, that's the rest of the world. Right? And then I jump down and use the fucking flying Nimbus cloud to like just zoom around the world and see how everyone's doing. That they genuinely think that. Masks are seen by all Democrats as proof of submission to their absolute power and authority. Public health is no longer the focus of mask mandates. Of course, when workers peacefully refuse to be submissive to the ivory tower overseers, it's always an insurrection or a shocking act of domestic terrorism. So January 6th was because of masks in this guy's world. They didn't storm the Capitol to install a dictator and overthrow U.S. democracy. Nope. It was because the Democrats tried to use masks to make people submit. Again, if you actually thought that this was true, the rest of it makes perfect sense. Every single thing that happens in their entire lives falls into their narrative that Democrats are Ivy League tower, like just random. Now again, it doesn't matter that the Democratic Party has more poor people in it than the Republican Party, more middle class people than the Republican Party. That doesn't matter. The facts do not matter. There is nothing you can say to someone this far deep in conspiracy theories that will break them out of this. All you need to do is protect yourself and make sure that they don't come after you. Because holy shit, this guy is probably going to kill someone. Because if you believed all of this was true, wouldn't you go out there and kill people? If you believe that neo-Nazis were running through the streets, murdering millions of innocent people and burning down homes and apartment complexes, right? And killing everyone in sight. If you believe that if you go outside, there's like a 40% chance of a neo-Nazi like throwing a Molotov in your face and killing you. If you believe that, you would act accordingly. And so we cannot be surprised that when these conspiracy theories that are propagated by like Trump and the higher on the totem pole Republicans, when those conspiracy theories are propagated and they just say BLM Antifa terrorists burning down the entire city of Minneapolis or some shit, when they say that, people like this believe it. They think it's true. Now, they've never seen it with their own eyes, but they see very highly edited clips online and presume that that's happening all over the world every day. So again, if you think that the world that you live in is where like ivory tower Democrats are running through the streets killing people of the working class, and because working class people are Republicans or something, if you actually think that, I mean, again, This is how like wars are made. Like, I'm just saying, like, it's fucking crazy. And again, there's more. This guy left a lot more comments on my videos, and I hope that they leave a comment on this one. I would love to have a conversation with them on the show, but like, fuck me. And then you have some people like Jimmy Dore and other ostensibly left-wing political podcasters that are like, yeah, let's work with these guys. This guy's my comrade. Shit's fucked.